Now that I have Python and Pygame installed, I now need to start writing my first program. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the Start button here on Windows, but the main thing to do is look for your Python installation. Now, because I've got Windows 10, I can see the recently added at the top here, but if I scroll down, I can also find under P the Python 2.7 installation. I can extend this and I can see all the programs it's installed, which is the idle. Now this is an IDE, the idle named after Eric Idle, but it's an IDE, which is a good environment to program in. We will shift away from it because there are problems with it and running particularly events in Pygame. But we've got the command line here, we've got some documents, some manuals, and we can even uninstall Python if we wanted to. We're going to start off inside the IDLE to make our programming, get us programming off to a neat start, and we're taken to here. This is Python, this is the idle IDLE, and we are in, IDE, and we are in what's called immediate mode. That means that I can type in any Python command and it will run immediately. It means that I can perform mathematics and Python will perform it immediately. And this is incredibly useful, good way of testing out lines of code. You can put all kinds of things into here, but it's not how we're going to write programs. We need a program that we can execute, that we can edit and change and go back to several times. I can't, in immediate mode, go back to a code line and change it. I have to rewrite the code. So I want an ability to edit and control the program. How do I do that? Well, I need a file, and that's easy. Go to File, New File. That will pull up this window here. This is a new file for us. Now, I don't need this now, so I'm going to close it, and that's the file I'm going to work on. Now, earlier I went to my documents. I created a file structure inside my documents called Python Programs, and currently that is empty. This is where I'm going to save my work. So going back to my files here, I'm going to save it now. File. I can go to save because I never have. How do I know I've never saved it before? Because it says Untitled in the top. But I'm going to go to save. I could have gone to save as. It will take me to exactly the same location. In my case, I know that mine is in this PC, that I need to go to Documents, and that what's in there, I'll go to Python Games. I'm then going to put into here first program.py. So I'm going to call my program first program, no spaces, don't need to worry about capitals or anything else, but definitely no spaces, no special characters, just letters, maybe numbers after the first letter. First program .py is the extension. That's what tells the system that it is a Python program. I'm now going to click on save, and the program is now being saved. It's now been saved, and up the top here it tells me that this is the name of this file. All we need to do now is program our code. Now, through the magic of technology, I can simply give you the code that you're going to need to type. My recommendations are you now pause this video and you type in everything you can see on the screen exactly as it is. Word of warning: the spaces between my lines of code are not important. You don't have to have that space there. I could delete it or put it there or put hundreds of them there. It really doesn't matter. Don't put those in, but I can put as much spaces as I like. What you cannot ignore are these indentations. To indent, to bring in. That there is 4 spaces, 4 presses of the spacebar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Any system, be it a Mac or anything else, it will be 4 pushes of the spacebar. But to the left of the Q key on your keyboard is a tab key. It might have the word tab on it. It might have just 2 arrows pointing in different ways and pointing towards a brick wall. That there is called the tab key, and you can press it once and it will generate the required space you're looking for. That's 4 spaces there. This is clearly twice as big. It's 2 pushes of the tab key or 8 presses of the space bar. This here is 3 presses of the tab key or 12 presses of the space bar. This here is 4 spaces or 1 press of tab. Same thing there and same thing there. Unlike any other programming language, or most of the programming languages, Python does care about the tabs, not the spaces, but the tabs. Make sure it's like that, and then do the rest of the coding. Make sure it looks exactly the same. Then unpause the video. Now once you've done that, you're in a position then to see if the program works. All I've got to do, or you've got to do, is go to Run and Run Module. Now notice that my first program.pye has a star next to it. That's telling me that I've made a change to this file and it's not been saved. I could go to File Save, but if I run Module, then I'm going to get the do you want to save this? It's not been saved, so I'm going to say OK, it's saved, and now we'll go and execute the file. And if my program works, that's what I should be seeing. That's the program, that's the result of my code. Now if you didn't quite see that, then you've got an error in your code, and that's simple enough. Simply go back to the coding section. By the way, to close this you need to close this window, not that window, it won't work, but close there. You'll be taken back to your code and find out what you got wrong. The common ones are the tabs. Did you put colons at the end of the lines? Because those are vitally important. The colon tells Python that it's got to look for indented code, and the indentations tell it which code it needs to worry about. This colon says worry about anything that's got 4 spaces after it. This one says worry about 4 spaces after that, which happens to be 8 after 8 of them altogether. Then this one is saying, okay, worry about 4 spaces after this one, which makes it 12. So this if with the colon is saying worry about that line. This for with the colon is saying worry about these lines. And the while with this colon is saying worry about all those lines. Check each and every one, make sure, but the most common ones is missing brackets, getting the commas in the wrong place, missing off the colons, those kind of things. Check it and then cure it. Once you've done that, it is worth having a look at the code. Look at this particular line of code here. Now this line deals with the screen, the window that you see coming up, and it deals actually with the circle. It says pygame.draw.circle, and what you want to do is this one colors it green. Now this needs that you understand that the screen that you're looking at is made up of pixels. A pixel is the smallest definable point on any monitor, and a pixel is made up of 3 dots, 1 red, 1 green and 1 blue. So a pixel is the smallest definable point on a screen. Definable, we can reference it, talk about it, and it's made up of 3 colors: red, green, blue. We can switch on or off those colors by using a value between 0 and 255. So red can have a value from 0 to 255. Green can have a value from 0 to 255. And blue can have a value from 0 to 255. That actually means that you've got 256 different shades of red, 256 different shades of green, and 256 different shades of blue. And since you can mix red, green and blue, that gives you over 16.7 million colors that are available to you. So have a look at this line. We currently have a green circle. Somewhere in this line controls the color of the circle, remembering that the colors of a pixel are made up of red, green and blue. The circle is currently green. Can you make the circle blue? Can you make the circle red? Could you make the circle yellow? The screen is also made up of the coordinates x and y, just like in mathematics and graphs. So x controls the horizontal. How far from the left to the right hand side does our circle go? How big is the window we've got? Well, that's defined up here. So this tells us that the window that the system creates is 640 pixels by 480 pixels. That's 640 pixels from left to right and 480 from top to bottom. If we run our code, we now know that the window that's going to appear, is 640 pixels from there to there and 480 pixels from there to there. So we now know the size of our screen. We know that we always measure, and you won't know this until now, we always measure from the top point of any window. So this is a window that I've got at the background, but if I use the Python coding, the window is this top corner here. And we measure the x from 0 to however many dots we've got across, and from 0 down. So unlike mathematics, the y-axis positives don't go up, they go downwards. So somewhere on this line of code controls the x and y positioning of the circle. Can you put the circle in the center of the screen? Finally, another part of this deals with the size of the circle in pixels. I'm not going to tell you the current size of the circle, but knowing all the parts that you've got, can you work out which part controls the size of the circle? And can you make the circle bigger? Can you make the circle smaller? Another line to look at is this one here. Now this deals with the background color. The screen is a little window that appears. We have up here a line of code that says create a window that is 640 by 480 and give it the name screen. We can then talk about screen any times. It's a simpler way than having to say, oh, do you remember that window you created? We just simply use the word screen. So we can use the word screen there. We've also used it in the line we looked before. That's saying draw a circle where? On the screen. What screen? Well, the one we talked about earlier. So it's a neat way of referencing the little window that pops up. So draw a circle on the screen and everything else you've got. This one says take the screen and fill it. So this is an object, the screen. This is what we call an object. This is an instance of an object, but we'll get into that much further on. This is something we can do, an event, an action, a property. This is an event. We're going to fill the screen. Fill the screen with what? Well, I'm not going to suggest too much, except that the screen is currently white. The background of our screen is white. Can you make the background of the screen blue? Can you make it red? Can you make it yellow? Are you able to make the background of the screen black? Once you've had a try of all that and got to those, feel free to watch the next video.